Guys, this week's episode we're only going to talk about Metallica's new album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
Let's just get right into it. Hello everybody, my name is The Strange Eli and welcome to another video. I just want to get into this because I'm so excited. I've never been more excited for an album of music in my entire life. And so today we're going to talk about Hardwired to Self-Destruct, Metallica's new album. I'm going to go down, I'm going to break down every single song, I'm going to review the whole album, and at the end I'm going to give you a final conclusion and grade. So let's just get right into it. The first song starts off with a machine gun-like bang. It's just chugging a thing, and it just goes. It starts right out of the gate, just we're hitting the ground running. It's great, it sounds like it's coming straight out of the 80s. The early 80s Metallica stuff. It's fantastic. It's so much fun to listen to, and it's so thrilling, exciting, and the vocals are just like, they just hit it. They're fast and they're harsh along with the guitars, and it just perfectly encapsulates Metallica from an early stage, and I think that it really, really sets the tone for the rest of the album. Atlas Rise is a fantastic song. Atlas Rise sounds like it was ripped straight out of Injustice for All because the guitars and the drums kind of moved together in a way that was really only seen in And Justice for All. Every time that there's a chug, every time that there's a note that's being played, the drums seem to come right along with it with another, with a hit that kind of correlates with the guitar sound that they're trying to make, and it makes it for a very powerful poppy, it's cool. It's great to listen to. It's very exciting. Now That We're Dead is a pretty good song. And after how great Hardwired and Atlas Rise is, Now That We're Dead, it sort of brings it down a little bit. I think that it's a good song. It just doesn't really stand out to me as one of if there's any song I'm going to listen to the album, it's probably not going to be Now That We're Dead. The chorus doesn't really bring anything new that the verses aren't already doing. It's not really too new in terms of sound, because as you'll see in this album and as I'll talk about, every song on the album kind of does something new and interesting, which really, really brings new life into the album and the band. But Now That We're Dead doesn't really achieve that. It's it's a good song, it's just not nearly as interesting as the rest. Moth Into the Flame goes right back to being fantastic. It's very technical and chuggy, and it feels like the main verse riff just sounds like it was ripped straight out of from James Hetfield's good old riff machine that man is, and so he just gets it. He understands exactly how to create a thick, chuggy Metallica riff that really, really resonates with the listeners and has sort of become what we know to be as Metallica. So it just feels like you're just listening to Metallica, and the chorus just like elevates it. So every time that there's a chorus, it feels like you're accessing like a new part of the song. Like it doesn't feel like it's just rehashing on something that they've already played. It really feels like a new part of the song that's being attached to this, and it's fantastic. It's so great to listen to. Very interesting. Dream No More is my favorite song on the album. Dream No More has this sort of like cool, mysterious vibe as it begins, and then when the guitars finally start and the verses finally begin, it has this sort of like very sleazy, like sort of sinister sounding, again chuggy like riff, and then when the vocals come in, there's this harmonization that happens, and they're just kind of like singing instead of like yelling or doing anything too aggressive, and it's fantastic, and it perfectly complements the guitars that are already in the song. This is one of the first songs on the album that really, really sounds like a new Metallica song. Hardwired, Moth to the Flame, all these other songs, they sound like Metallica, and there's a new sound, there's better production, but when it comes down to it, Dream No More is the first song on that album that really, really sounds like, wow, I've never heard this from Metallica before, and I think that's why it stands out so much to me. And I love this song. This is my favorite song on the album. Halo on Fire is a very unique Metallica song, in the same way that Dream No More is a very unique Metallica song. They're kind of doing something that you've never really expected to hear from Metallica before. And Halo on Fire does something really interesting. It has this very cool, like, mysterious, complex intro that you're kind of used to with other Metallica songs, especially from Master of Puppets or actually even maybe Load, which is a weird, comparison to make, but that's really kind of what they sound like. And a lot of the chords and vocals are let to just ring out, which makes it feel very, instead of chugging, palm muted like guitar chugging, it's more just like playing the chords open, or not open, but they're letting them ring out, and it makes it sound very grand in scope. It makes it sound like they're playing it in like a stadium, a very large room. It makes it sound big, and it's very, very cool. It's one of the most complex songs on the album. It's a really great song. Confusion is an interesting song. When I first listened to it, I could describe my experience as confusing. Metallica, this song sounds a lot like it came from Death Magnetic. A lot of the similar sounds that you'd hear from that album are in this, which Death Magnetic is not my favorite Metallica album, despite of thinking it's like a pretty decent Metallica album. So this song wasn't really for me as a Metallica fan, but it was very, very good, and it's a really great song. It does something kind of interesting where it will switch up who gets to play fast. So there will be parts where the guitar gets to be like this fast, like chugging and solos and stuff like that, but the drums have like kind of pulled back on being too complex or too fast, which allows the stuff to really breathe. But at the same time, there will be parts where the guitars will just play out chords and the drums get a chance to be interesting and be complex. And so it kind of like switches back and forth about who gets to be the fast one, which makes for a very like entertaining experience to listen to. Also, this song probably marks the billionth time that Metallica's ever sung about war. So if you like war songs from Metallica, this is your jam. Man Unkind is another song on the album that really isn't quite my favorite. It starts off with this sort of clean intro, which is really good and like refreshing to listen to, but it quickly gets overshadowed by the guitars when they blast in, and then you're like, oh, well, I kind of wish there was more of that, or it kind of feels like it kind of wipes away this sort of atmosphere that it was trying to create, which is really unfortunate because it's a cool one. And something that I was kind of excited about for this album was I was thinking that Metallica was going to go in a slightly gentler direction, or slightly more polyrhythmic direction, because James Hetfield had said multiple times that was something that he thought was impressive. So I was thinking that Metallica would probably try to dabble in that area. While this song is not gent and it's not polyrhythmic in really any sort of like noticeable way, it's definitely the most hardest song on the album to like try to count in time, because there's a lot of like faster parts mixed with slower parts, and they kind of like go back and forth and trade in and flash in and strobe in, and it makes it harder to count as like a musician, but it makes for a very like cool listening experience, and it's very unique for Metallica. Here Comes Revenge kind of does the same thing for me that Now That We're Dead does. Now That We're Dead and Here Comes Revenge were both sort of songs that didn't really stand out to me. I can understand why someone would really like Here Comes Revenge. It has parts in it that I think that are really good, but ultimately just don't really speak to me. And I can't really describe it as like it's a sound that's coming from an album I don't like, or a song that's coming from a song I don't like. It feels like one of the lesser polished songs on the album, and so it doesn't really change. Like, it's not really a dynamic song, so it's sort of a song. But I can understand, there's parts of it that I can understand people liking it. Am I Savage is a fucking great song. Am I Savage sounds like it has acts or pieces or parts like a classical score. It's like it starts off with this cool thing, and it builds, and the theme returns and like does cool things, and it changes, and there's like parts, and it feels like you're like listening to a story. It's so cool, and it's one of the most like I said, it sounds like it's telling a story. Near the end of the song also introduces one of my new favorite Metallica riffs, which has these pitch harmonics that are just like so unique for Metallica and so cool, and are like so like new, but like in a very timeless way, and it's so cool. And then the chorus, when he's singing "Am I Savage," it's like perfect. It's just perfect for that chorus. It needs that to be in that song, and it just like it really like brings everything together. It's the best chorus, and it's one of the best songs on the album, guys. Honestly, guys, if you have a limit to the amount of songs you can listen to on this album, you might just consider listening to Am I Savage. It's really that cool. It's a great song. Murder One, I don't really have a whole lot to say about Murder One. I've listened to the song a couple times, and I haven't really gone back to it. It's not like it's a boring song. In fact, it's a really good song. There's parts of it that sound, especially during the first like half of the song, it sounds a lot like it was ripped straight out of Master of Puppets in terms of these cool intros following like these even more cool like riffs that are very like evil sounding, but like trying to tell you something, and it's like a cool sound. I just don't have a lot to say about it because it's probably the song I've listened to the least on the album. Spit Out the Bone, dude. Spit Out the Bone. Like, it just, Spit Out the Bone. Let me tell you, Spit Out the Bone kicks ass. That song is a fucking Metallica song. It's like, it has this great chugginess, and like, it just, the growls that come out of James Hetfield's mouth, dude, and it goes, and it just is like angry and chuggy and fast and fun, and the solos are great and everything. And like, and Spit Out the Bone has a bass solo. Oh my god. And like the bass solo is so much fun to listen to, and it feels like you're listening to Cliff Burton play in Metallica again. That's how great it is. It's the perfect time capsule of like Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. It does this really cool thing where the guitars and the bass like play the same thing, which is something that Cliff Burton did a lot in those earlier albums, in Kill 'Em All and in Ride the Lightning. And so when Rob Trujillo does it, and he just gets it, and he just does it on that song, it just like, it's so energizing, it's so cool, and that's like, if there's a song that sounds the most like classic Metallica on that album, it's definitely Spit Out the Bone. Alright guys, so now that I've broke down the whole album, I just want to give you my general thoughts. Metallica is something that's really important to me. Metallica has been a band that has saved me out of some really hard times, and Metallica has been a band that's stuck with me and has influenced the way I listen to music, both just genres that I like and also how I interact with the band as a fan. And there's so many special moments in my life that have contained Metallica in them, both friends and relationships, and Metallica has been a band has never given up on me. So to say that I'm a Metallica fan is kind of an understatement. To say that I'm biased about Metallica is fair to say. But this album was something that I had been excited for since Death Magnetic came out, because like I said, Death Magnetic was not my favorite Metallica album, and so I've been waiting for this album for years. I've been waiting 8 years for this album to come out, and it's finally out, and it was worth every second of that wait, because guys, listening to Hardwired to Self-Destruct, it might actually be the best Metallica album since the Black Album. Load, Reload, Sin Anger, Death Magnetic, they're good albums. I like those albums. I personally like those albums. A lot of people don't, and I get why. There's problems with those albums. Load and Reload are way too out there and way too colorful and mainstream for Metallica. Saint Anger is way too angry and bitter and like weirdly unproduced. Death Magnetic is like Metallica unsure of themselves as a band, where they're trying to go with their tone, despite there being good songs on that album. It's the most evil and sinister, but like not in like a way that's like enjoyable to listen to, but in a way that's like kind of scary. Hardwired to Self-Destruct just came out of nowhere and just grabbed my heart, and I love this album. It's the perfect combination of old Metallica. When people are commenting in music videos for songs from the newer Metallica stuff, and they're saying, oh, we wish we could have old Metallica back, this is what they're asking for. When bands say, oh, we're going to go back and we're going to try to be our older selves, or we're going to try to play older type songs, and they fail, Metallica did it. Metallica did it. They are playing how they used to play back in the days that Metallica fans love. But at the same time injecting new blood and new vigor into that band in a way that I never could have predicted. Guys, Hardwired to Self-Destruct is phenomenal. If I had to give it a letter grade, it's A+. I think that every song on it is great in some way or another, and some are better than others, but the same way that some are better than others in the Black Album. It's phenomenal. I can't stress it enough. It's please, if you like music, if you like Metallica, if you like metal as a genre, go out there, buy that album, do yourself a favor, and just listen to it because it's incredible. Anyways, guys, I know this was a longer video. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If they bring back the rating system, go ahead and give it 5 stars. But we all know that they won't. Please, in the comments down below, tell me what you thought of this, how you thought of this longer video, how you thought of me doing an album review. Tell me in the comments down below what's your favorite Metallica song from this album or from any. And let's just start a conversation. You can follow me on Twitter at TheStrangeEli and all that fun stuff. And so I'm going to go listen to this album for the 20th time, and I will talk to you later.